What's up and welcome to my guitar channel. My Quad Cortex is broken because it's making weird sounds. In this video, I'm going to go through what my specific problem is, Neural DSP's standard end user troubleshooting process, and then what it actually took to finally get my unit fixed. If the problem with your Quad Cortex is exactly the same, then you will know what to do. If it's different, hopefully one of these troubleshooting steps will solve it for you. And if that doesn't work, then you can always just contact Neural DSP and get them to solve it for you. First sound is like this. So, of course, that's the same problem in example 1 and 2, just different patches. Then example 3 is a slightly different problem. It's the same patch, the same tone, everything. It's just there's a huge volume difference. This is not the way that the Quad Cortex should be operating. Here are the list of troubleshooting steps that should be attempted before you contact Neural DSP. The first is to try a new or different preset and see if the problem still persists. The second is to make sure that you're using a power supply, a legit one that came with the unit. If your power supply has been lost or stolen or something like this, then get a new one. Get it from Neural DSP. Third is to update your software. There's loads of places online where you can find out how to do that. Fourth is to try a new guitar. Fifth is to try a new lead. Sixth is to check if any of the jacks on the back of the unit feel loose. Seventh is to try a new input. Now remember, there's inputs 1 and 2, and then returns 1 and 2. They can all act as inputs. Try all 4 of those and see if the problem still persists. Next is to try a new output. There are 7 total outputs, being output 1 and 2, which are XLR, 3 and 4, which are jacks, send 1 and 2, which are also jacks, and then of course the headphone stereo out. For me, I tried every single one of these things, including plugging the XLR into my interface and directly into my monitors, and nothing changed. Of course, none of the jacks felt loose, but the error was still there in every one of those variations. Then I contacted Neural DSP and they told me to reset the settings on their unit. I'm going to demonstrate how to do it for you just so that you know in case you've never done this before, but that may mean that I need to set some of my settings again because I'm doing some stuff with MIDI. Okay, so we start by turning off the unit and then unplugging all cables. We're going to wait here for 30 seconds. I'll skip forward to when that's been done. My 30 seconds are up. I'm going to reattach only the power supply cable. And then I'm going to hold the A and H buttons when the splash screen comes up. So this should get you to the reset settings. If you hit factory reset, it's going to delete every single thing that's on there. So just hit the reset settings and then it will do its thing. Now, none of these options changed anything at all for me with my unit. Neural DSP told me that from the audio examples and the troubleshooting that I'd done, that they didn't know what the problem was and that they needed to retrieve it from me to sort the problem out. Great, that works for me. Now, I've done these things before where you've got an intermittent issue with your product, you send it back to the manufacturer, they don't find a fault and they send it back to you, and great, like you've just kind of wasted everyone's time and money and you've still got a broken unit. What I did was capture both video and audio evidence of the unit misbehaving. So in the case that they weren't able to find any problems, then I could send them some pretty compelling evidence to prove that I had a problem on my hands. This is just a way that I think is very advisable to prepare if you're doing something like this. Now came the most challenging part of this whole ordeal, which was dealing with UPS. But who cares about that? I got it shipped off. It took about a week to get to Finland. It spent about a week in repair, and then it came back to me over the course of about a week. So it was out of my hands for about 3 weeks. I'm pretty glad to say that the unit is back and fully functioning. I knew that this unit was going pretty much to the opposite side of the world, being from Sydney, Australia to Helsinki in Finland. It was about as headache-free as possible. The problem, they said, was with the connector board. To be fair, I don't know what that is, but I can guess. According to Neural DSP, it was a fringe case of a manufacturing error that caused this problem. I've owned this unit for about a year, and this has only come up recently, so I don't know why it took a year for the problem to appear, but that's what they said. I actually wanted to be more thorough than this and make sure that it wasn't something that had gone wrong, like maybe I'd dropped it, maybe I'd knocked it, and something like this. To me, that information is really good to know, because if I had been unintentionally roughhousing this unit and it broke, it would just be really valuable information to know that I have to treat this unit a lot more carefully so that I can avoid having this problem again. But once again, they insisted that the fault was on their end. It was most definitely not user error. Whilst it's a pain in the ass when something you rely on stops being reliable, it's really good to know that someone who is qualified can and will proceed to fix it. It's even more comforting to know that that is the manufacturer. And it's especially comforting to know that the manufacturer is going to wear the expense for it. To me, this whole experience is a pretty good reflection of Neural DSP as a company. They obviously deliver some really great products to the market and they keep trying to exceed their previous efforts. efforts. But they also seem to understand and connect with the fact that the end user's experience is really, really important. Any business that has a product and then they don't care if it breaks or they don't value it, they're not speedy about getting back to people, anything like this, over time, it does create a really bad reputation for the company. And everything that I've dealt with Neural DSP, it has actually been an absolute breeze. Once again, the most difficult part about all of this was dealing with UPS. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I hope this has been useful to any of you that come into an error with your Quad Cortex. Hopefully the error that you face is something software-based and can be dealt with remotely. Anyway, I'll see you next week for more stuff about music. Bye-bye.